Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta. And dairy sector has been in the limelight, one, because of the rising milk prices in various states. Then it also has been about the conversation about imports of dairy into country. And then we also are looking at higher procurement prices. We're getting out of the flush season as well. And the summer demand is upon us. When you look at the milk prices, India has seen a rise by nearly 14 to 15% in the past 15 months. The experts expect the prices to go up further as the April to November is considered a lean season for milk production. What are the other factors that impact milk prices? To discuss this further, I am now joined by Mr. R.S. Sodhi. He's President, Indian Dairy Association. Mr. Sodhi, hi, thank you so much for joining us. The big headline clearly has been the milk shortage and the kind of run-up that we've seen in the milk prices in the last 15 to 18 months. What is your sense? Because there are concerns almost about further rising in prices from here on.
Well, let me tell you, Manisha ji, there's no shortage. What people are, saying basically because of some last 15 months good increase in milk prices, they're saying it's a shortage. Because when everything goes up, they call it ki inflation ho gaya. And when in milk prices go up, they say it's shortage. So there's no shortage, but definitely last 15 months, price of milk and milk products have gone up by 14 to 15%. But if you see in the previous 36 months, the increase is only around 18 to 19%, which is less than the food inflation, or I can say 6 to 7%. But situation is tight because of commodity stocks are low, and we have already entered the lean of flush season, but fortunately now farmers are being paid good price after 2.5 years. So they are getting good price, so they can feed well to the cows and buffalo, which earlier they were not able to do because of feed cost and increase. And in proportion to the feed cost increase, milk purchase price was not increased by the others. So what we foresee is this summer situation will be tight, but I don't foresee any shortage that milk will not be available. It will be there, but prices will be firm. But after the Sahara of Diwali, because flush season is going to start, and you can expect prices to stabilize. And simultaneously, the feed cost now also has stabilized or may start reducing it, because cereal cost, what the feed ingredient cost is slightly now getting soft. So that is the plus point.
Okay. All right. I want to talk about the prices yet again. But first of all, with the kind of margins and higher procurement prices that the dairy industry has to pay, how would you then look at the foreign players, listed corporates, the big ones? How are they dealing with the current tight scenario?
Definitely their margins have reduced what they used to get 2 years back during COVID or after that, or before COVID. So margins of all the dairy companies are under pressure, and it will continue to be there till you can say September, October. But after that, it will be very comfortable, and there will be better margins available. Because when the milk price, because now you're giving good price, so we are going to get good milk in the flush. And simultaneously, demand is now, I can say, the growth has reduced. Because last 3 years, the price, retail price could not be increased vis-a-vis the cost of production. And other food products, whether it's the edible oil or cereals or fruits and vegetables or the poultry, their price inflation has been more than the milk. So naturally, a lot of demand shifted towards dairy. But with this 14 to 15% increase in 15 months, definitely I can foresee that demand will be under pressure for all the dairy companies, especially for the volume growth. So, but with the time coming when prices don't increase, consumption will again start increasing.
All right. So you're saying the tight situation will continue until September, October, and then we will see better times ahead again. I also want to talk about this whole import thing where we have seen one government talk about milk imports, which has led to headlines yet again. And the second thing is about the private import of milk products. That has seen an increase of 1,000% in the last year. How do you look at both of these?
Well, let us talk about this talk about the headlines of imports. Let me tell you very clearly, and Government of India Animal Husbandry Department as well as the NDDB has clarified, no decision has been taken to import any milk and milk products. Milk and milk products imports are allowed, but under tariff rate quota or under some concessional duty, no decision has been taken. Whatever 1,000% increase in imports you are mentioning, I think that base is very, very small. If you see the total value, it is nothing vis-a-vis our Indian. So that mainly because of whey powder or protein, some special type of protein, and because some whey powder is being imported for the use in the bakery section also, or some very exotic cheese are being imported. But as such, skim milk powder, fat or ghee imports are not much. But one thing is that what I think some of the city milk dairies, they had requested Government of India that if situation is not, situation is not comfortable, so can Government of India look into the imports of skim milk powder and fat at concessional duty or under zero duty under a tariff quota. So I think what Government of India has, what I have read is clarified is, if situation arises, right now there is no such situation, small quantity can be imported, can be allowed to be imported, but under two conditions. One is it will be imported by only NDDB, National Dairy Development Board. And second, it will be given, commodities will be given only to the dairy or especially cooperatives at the current prices, so that current price being paid to the farmers is not affected. So there will not be impact on the current milk or commodity price in India. So that is just only to caution and also to give assurance that we are watching the situation. If need arises, we'll take the action anyway.
All right. So no imports as of now. And if there are imports, then there are, of course, a couple of clauses there as well. The other thing is about the supply and demand mismatch. And that's yet again a headline. What is your estimate on the dairy demand growth in India? We've always discussed on how the per capita consumption continues to be on the lower side. When do you see supply demand mismatch getting over?
Well, I don't foresee in India the mismatch in demand and supplies to happen on long-term basis. Once in a 4 year, 5 years, 6 years, the present situation may come when then demand is slightly more than the supply, and then we have to eat into our commodity stocks. But if you see last 50 years, every 25 years, our milk production has multiplied by 3x. Like in 50 years back, in 1974, our production was 24 million metric ton, and our per capita availability was only 110 gram. Then after 25 years, that is sometime 98, 99, our milk production increased by 3x to around 71 million metric ton, and per capita availability doubled from 110 to 220. And then again now this year, again after 25 years, our production has multiplied by 3 times to 222 million metric ton, which is a data recently released by Department of Animal Husbandry. And our per capita availability has doubled to now 440. So the way we are growing, consumption is growing in spite of increase in the population. Our farmers are producing more. And why our farmers are producing more? Because they're getting remunerative price. In the agriculture whole income, now animal husbandry and dairy, they contribute 30% to the agriculture income, which used to be just 4 to 5% when India got independence. So day by day, animal husbandry contribution to the agriculture GDP, and national GDP it is around 5.2. So you can understand it is going to, because you say farmers will produce what is in demand and for which they get good price. So if we continue with the present policy, and what is that present policy? Encourage local production of milk. So definitely I know after 25 years, we shall be producing 3 times more, that is 628 million metric ton. But our consumption will be not that much, because today 440, after 25 years, it will grow up to maximum 840, 850, not to more than 900. Because all over the world, the developed countries have also got more or less this such milk consumption. So we'll be having surplus of 90 million metric ton, and which need to be exported to the other Asian countries, because mostly all the Asian countries are net deficit and import of dairy products. Whether you take Russia, China, Southeast countries, Middle East countries, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all are importing. So next 10 to 15 years, you'll say gradually India is going to become dairy to the world. But if we continue with the present policy of local production and paying farmers very, very remunerative price, which we have been paying over the last 50 years.
All right. Mr. Sodhi, since you are comparing India with the international markets, even though we are looking at increased milk prices, even if it is until September, October, we've seen China, New Zealand forecast cut in milk prices going ahead. How do you look at that?
No, you're right. Last 1 year, that is April 22 versus this April 23, the liquid milk price being paid to farmers have reduced by around 34%, from Indian currency 55 rupees to around 40 rupees. Same is in case of, if you see butter, commodity price reduced by 30%, skim milk powder by 35%. But that has happened because if you see, last April, the milk inflation in these countries have been 20 to 40%. India's milk inflation has been lowest in the world, around 8 to 9%. So they have, inflation has gone up very high, so their consumption reduced. Simultaneously, when farmers started getting more, they increased the herd size, they started producing more. So now again, it has come back, but it is still higher than the COVID prices. So it is lower than the previous year, but it is still higher than the previous year.
All right, that's a lot of numbers there, but I want to come back to India. And how do you look at the summer season demand? Because the consumption via lassi, chas, beverages, coffee, you have various varieties of that as well. How do you see that demand going forward?
Let me tell you, I'm not saying consumer will continue to pay higher prices till Diwali. I'm saying what consumers are paying, it is a very reasonable price. So they will continue to pay such prices till Diwali. There will be tight position. After that, prices will not increase, stabilize, maybe a little bit reduction here and there. But let me tell you, there has been never reduction in price of milk or milk products in the past. Commodity prices keep on fluctuating. Now coming to the summer demand is very good, because this year we are expecting yesterday only the weather department forecasted a very high temperature summer, and also the less than the average rainfall in the Western India and North India, which are mainly the milk producing areas. So one side, demand tremendously increasing, especially of ice cream. Last financial year, most of dairy companies saw increase of around 40 to 50% in the ice cream sale. And this year also minimum 15 to 20% increase is expected. Same is expected in case of beverages, lassi, buttermilk, and as such milk consumption. Whereas during summer, what happens is milk demand increases because of all these things, about 10 to 15%, whereas the production reduces around 15 to 20% with the average winter months. So, but that generally that is taken care by the opening stocks of the commodity lying with the various dairy companies and the big cooperatives.
All right, Mr. Sodhi, I take that line away from what you just said, that the milk and product prices in India almost have never come off, even as the production has increased. That means the prices what we are paying right now, which you said are reasonable, are going to stay like that. Thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, we are headed into a short break. But on the other side, we continue the discussion on dairy with Jayan Mehta of Amul.
Yes. Quiet! It's okay for us to nod for everything. Because we are parrots. But your wealth manager? Shouldn't be doing that. You know? No? Oh.
Choose Nuvama. We only do what's right for you and your money. Nuvama. Let's do it right.
100% happiness with SBI Home Loans. Zero processing fee at 8.50% onwards. Apply today. Call 1800112018. Visit homeloans.sbi.
15% प्रॉफिट पक्का
18.75
कैसे
ऐसे आपके बिजनेस की तरक्की के लिए टाटा ट्रक्स लाए हैं फ्लीट एज ऐप। अब फ्यूल एफिशिएंसी, ट्रिप मैनेजमेंट, ट्रक की हेल्थ, सेफ पार्किंग जोन, रूट प्लानिंग और बहुत सारी फ्लीट मैनेजमेंट आपके हाथों में। अब बिजनेस बढ़ेगा तेजी से। टाटा ट्रक्स, देश के ट्रक्स।
Our world is transforming fast. This changing world calls for unique, advanced and future-ready skills. Super skilled in Odisha. Our super soldiers are ready to take on the world. Odisha Skill Conclave 2023. Kalinga Stadium, Bhubaneswar, 20th to 22nd April 2023.
Z-Black Premium Agarbatti and Dhoop, official prayer partner, Delhi Capitals.
What? बैंक के इतने सारे चार्जेस? Stop teasing me, Nanu.
अरे यार ये मेरे सेविंग्स अकाउंट के सर्विस चार्जेस हैं
Zero charges?
क्योंकि मेरा बैंक भी मेरी तरह सॉरी तुम्हारी तरह है यंग एंड फ्रेंडली।
आपकी तरह?
क्या कर रही हो? नो तुम्हारी तरह यंग एंड फ्रेंडली।
Welcome back. And before we went into a break, we were discussing the rise in milk prices. I am now joined by Mr. Jayan Mehta. He's Managing Director, Amul, to discuss this further. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mehta. And what is your sense on about the milk prices, which we have seen gone higher? What's your sense on the markets going forward? What is the kind of price rise that you're expecting from here on?
This is a matter which concerns both the producers and consumers. So it's definitely a tightrope walking for all the brands associated with the dairy industry, particularly the cooperatives like us who are owned by the farmers, and they also have huge expectations. And we have this need to pass on some of their burden to the consumers. Having said that, we have to look at things in perspective. Our flagship brand is Amul Taza Toned Milk. And in the last 4 years, we have increased the price only 6 times. So an average about 6%, which is more or less in line with the inflation. So by and large, the milk price increases are not as high as our producers would like it to be. But then it's a reality, and partly one can say that inflation to consumer is income to the producers. Having said that, the producers depend on the consumers for the market, and they are also equally concerned as the rest of the industry that if we increase our productivity, if we work on reducing the cost of production, the producer will also be happy and the consumer will also be happy. Having said that, the last year has been bad for the dairy industry, not just in India, but around the world. So if India did not register the regular growth in milk production in the financial year 22-23, the same situation applies in different parts of the world also. New Zealand also had a dip of about 1.2 to 1.5%. Western Europe also, on the whole, had declined. Eastern Europe also had declined. Australia declined by about 4 to 5%. So all the major dairy producing countries in the world did not see any growth. The demand also in a way got a bit depressed because the single largest player internationally, China, is a large importer, had also cut down its demand because of their COVID restrictions and so on. So as a result of which, the milk producers around the world had suffered. And India, fortunately, because of the strong domestic market and the strong domestic economy that we have, we managed to not only sell, but we are now on a growth path.
All right.
March
But also,
procurement of Amul was about 3% more than previous March. April will be 6 to 8% more. And the coming year seems to be very, very positive for us.
Mr. Mehta, I also want to know about, while we have seen hike in prices, what has been the global trade like? Because we've seen New Zealand, China cut prices.
See, milk is a very, very highly domestic market globally. Because only about 6 to 8% of the total milk produced globally is traded. So it's a local market, and except for the few countries which are highly dependent on exports, most of the countries and economies manage their domestic equilibrium with the domestic consumption, which is India is a classic case. As the largest producer of milk in the world, almost 25% of the total milk in the world is produced here. We are not import or export dependent.
Mr. Mehta, also, we do realize that milk is a small margin business. How have your margins been, and how do you look at the margin as a game going forward? Because a lot of foreign players, private players also seem to be adding in.
See, any new player in the market is welcome, because as long as you buy milk from our Indian farmers anywhere from India, it's good for the industry. And as I mentioned, more milk coming into the organized sector means farmers have a more safety and security of in the long term. The nature of the industry is such that the volumes are very high. And obviously, if the market is growing at a rate at which we are, the prices cannot be as high as the private players would want to be. So naturally, you have to deal with very low EBITDA margins. But then one has to play this game in the long haul. Amul obviously is a strong player here, and Amul, and along with all cooperatives together, we pass on more than 80% share of the consumer's rupee back to the producer. Now, a foreign player does not understand this. I mean, they are used to more than 30% margins because they pass on only 1/3 share of the consumer's dollar or a euro or a pound back to their producers. So it's a very, very different scenario for them. Obviously, in every market, you have to deal with the local competition first. And we are obviously not sparing any effort to strengthen our positions in the markets for each of the product categories that we operate. But then if foreign players believe in building the domestic market, working with the domestic farmers, there is enough opportunity for everyone to grow this market. Because let's accept it, only 1/4 of the milk in India comes to the organized sector. And that is going to double in the next 10 years. So more room for everyone in this.
All right, that is good to know. But I also want to understand on what categories do you think will do well going forward? Because we've seen milk volumes grow, cheese, chas, beverages. You are coming in various categories into organic and bakery as well. But what is your sense on where have we seen the growth in last year and anticipation of this year?
As I mentioned earlier, there's a huge tailwind for every single product category. The fresh milk business has grown by more than 20%. The fresh products have been doing very well. Product like curd has shown more than 40% growth. And same is the case with ice cream. Same is the case with beverages. I mean, 25, 30, 40% growth. It has been a reality, and we expect double-digit growth in every single product category that we operate, be it Tetra Pak milk, or be it cheese, or table butter, or ghee, and the dairy. The mithai range will grow at a much phenomenal rate because the base is quite small. But yes, there's a huge of growth we are seeing. Now, growth comes in two ways: increased consumption, and also increased efforts in distribution. So the kind of efforts in building distribution in our country that we have been doing, focusing on the top 200, 400 towns to reaching up to 5,000 towns and villages with population of 5 to 10,000. So, and adding more offices, adding more distributors, directly servicing most of the outlets. So it's an all-round effort. I mean, you increase the manufacturing capabilities, you increase the supply chain capabilities, you strengthen the brand to increase the consumption of the products, take market share from the competitors, and try to grow the business. So while we've grown at about 20% last year on the previous year, we want to continue on that same path in this year and the years to come. And the foundation is pretty strong to build this entire structure.
All right, a double-digit growth in last year and this year as well. And I hang on to the fact that you said that ice cream demand raised up by 40% last year and is expected 20% higher this year as well. But I also want to push in some more commodities here. You're dealing with them. Look at sugar prices, 11-year highs, cocoa prices, 28-month highs. Coffee prices have continued to surge as well. And ditto is the case with various other commodities as well. And you consume all of them. How are you dealing with various commodity inflation?
Yes, which is, you're right in a way. But since our largest exposure is to milk, that's the most important factor which into this. Cocoa bean, we are sourcing from Camco, a cooperative from Karnataka in South India. And they're quite good into supplying the best quality cocoa beans. We do have international sources of cocoa beans also. And that's what we are also dealing with it. Coffee, yes, but again, our largest supplies come from the domestic manufacturers and processors of coffee. So that's also quite okay and taken care of. So by and large, we are quite okay into how we are able to take care of this. And we are doubling up our capacities for chocolates. And our new range of coffee is also coming up in the market. And all these, dairy, sugar, coffee, and cocoa, and the vegetable oil is very little in our case, practically zero. So that way, oil is not a major factor for us. Though we have come in edible oil brand within Janmay brand shortly, but there we are following a very different strategy. We launched the first time in India a fixed price point pack, 100 rupees oil in cottonseed in Gujarat last month. We are launching mustard, the Kachigani mustard oil in Guwahati this week. And consumers will get oil at a fixed price of 100 rupees. The volume of oil may vary depending on the increase or decrease in price. So that's how it's. It's an initial launch. Too early to talk about it. But yes, it's getting very good feedback, and we'll be launching it in different markets as well.
All right, that's thinking quite out of the box. You've excelled in what you do in dairy, and as you said, 100 rupees a pack for edible oil. The volume may go up and down, but the statement that stays with me, Mr. Mehta, as you said, is inflation to consumer is the income for farmer, and we do understand that. And as you said, the milk prices have seen maximum gains. Going forward from here is going to be slightly more and then consolidation. Thank you so much for joining us today, and with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.